Hello, everybody. Welcome to Season 5, Episode 11 of Seeking Sister Wives. Today, our title is Seeking a Connection. Let's talk about it. Okay, let's go ahead and start with the Sherwoods today. It's going to be a little bit of a different episode because we have no Merrifields. I think they just went home and they're waiting to see what happens with Natalia. Okay, so Sherwood's first. Here we go. All right, it starts off with both of them sitting on the couch and they're doing a couch interview for TLC. During that time, a phone call came through for Ashley from Sarah, so she disregarded it. They go on with the interview. She got another phone call. So Shane said, go ahead and answer it. We'll see what happens. We're here recording. This could be good. This could be bad. You could tell that Sean is very nervous that things just aren't going to work out. He kind of felt the same way with other things in the past too. He seemed shocked when she agreed to not seek out other relationships when Sarah was there the other day. So instantly, I don't know, maybe he's a curmudgeon. Possibly this is how he lives his whole life, but he's not overly positive about the relationships that they've been seeking out for Ashley. Ashley goes ahead and answers the phone call. Sarah says she wants to come over and talk to them. You get the impression from when she came over that Sarah lives quite a distance away, so they thought it was interesting that she was coming there. Now, Sarah tells them as they sit down and start talking that she was up all night long. She really couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about their conversation that just happened yesterday. Yesterday's that conversation I was referring to, which was in the last episode. And she said that she realized the more she kept thinking about it that she wasn't in the place right now to make the kind of commitment that they want her to make. She said at this point she's not ready for an attachment. So Sean's like, okay, you're not ready for an attachment. So do you want to continue the relationship? And she says no. And Ashley got teary-eyed, and that made me feel kind of sad. But I'm sorry. I'm Team Sarah on this one. And here's why. Sarah points out that she's not in a place to make such a major decision in her life. That is a complete alteration when you completely commit to somebody and they're your number one. That's a huge thing in people's life. They've been on 2 dates with Sarah. 2. That's it. 2 dates. And they want this kind of commitment from her. And this is from a girl who's polyamorous, who's been around with lots of different couples. That's her MO. I think it would be difficult for anybody, even if they're used to this type of relationship, to commit. But this isn't her vibe. And they asked her so soon to make a commitment to them. Now, I get it. They don't want her sleeping around and then sleeping with them too. I get it. They have young children. Ashley's pregnant. They don't need diseases. They don't need anything to come into the family. I get it. But that's not Sarah's fault. It's not. That's not who she is. She's very interested in Ashley. She would love to be in a relationship with her or them or however that looked. But that's really it. And if you analyze what Sarah said, I don't think I pointed this out, but I remember thinking it. But then I thought, well, that's just obvious. But it's not obvious. It's coming up now. Sarah said when they asked for a commitment, she said, well, she was kind of like, ooh, let me sit back and think about it. And then she said, I can promise you that I won't look for any additional relationships. Those were her words. And they were all happy. And at first I thought, wait, that's not a commitment. She has a lot of past relationships that she keeps going back to. She was just promising not to seek out anymore. I'm not going to seek out anymore. I have some established ones already. I'm not going to seek anything else out. She mentioned there's some couples that she sees once or twice a year. So I believe that Ashley and Shane heard what they wanted to hear yesterday in the conversation. And they interpreted her saying, I'm not going to seek out additional relationships as I'm committing to you exclusively. And she didn't mean that, which is what kept her up all night. And then she felt bad. And she felt like she needed to talk to them in person the next day, right away. She didn't leave them hanging for a long time. She didn't lead them on for a long time. She was shocked by the question. She didn't know how to handle it. She promised what she could. And probably they mentioned the two of them had been going back and forth texting all night and in the morning. I am sure that throughout that texting is when she got the vibe of, oh, they think I have committed to them and nobody else. Yeah, I don't know about that. It's not who I am. I feel that Ashley and Shane are trying too hard to replace Shane now when he's not gone yet. He's not even terminal. Maybe when they get to be terminal, I just feel like they need to focus on their relationship and enjoy the time they have left together. Ashley will be fine, Shane. Ashley's a psychologist. No, Ashley's a psychiatrist. Ashley makes really good money. Ashley can pay for support to help her out until she eventually falls in love and truly falls in love with her right person. I don't think that it should be part of what they're doing right now. I hope this is it. I hope we don't see them anymore this season. I hope they go off on their way and decide, okay, one baby, a toddler, a cancer scare. Let's just be a family right now. That's what they need. Well, later on in the episode, we see that Ashley and Shane had their baby. It was very cute. Their family pictures are so cute. The little video of them is cute. They're an adorable family. And at this point, we see Shane very heated and upset about Sarah. I was like, what? He was upset when he came back in the house right away. He's throwing F-bombs around in that too. I'm like, oh, it just doesn't sort of match the dorky guy that he is. But here again, he said that they dodged a bullet with Sarah, that she was not being honest from the get-go. I disagree. Right from the beginning, she told them that she had never been in this kind of a relationship before and that she has always been with both of the people in the relationship. She's never been with just one of them. She's also said she's never been committed to anybody. She was honest from the get-go. And in terms of their relationship, she's like, well, I can see how things will go. We'll see where it leads to. She didn't expect for them to come back after 2 dates and make the demand that she commit to them. So she was being honest. Shane's just hurt from all of this. And I don't know why he's so hurt, because I really, in my soul, believe that he doesn't want Ashley to find somebody. He's poked holes in both the girls. Now, Grace, justifiable.
And I help other spiritual entrepreneurs, I'm very spiritual, learn to cultivate peace internally in their lives.
I help entrepreneurs remove the blocks and belief systems that are holding them back from achieving a truly fulfilling life.
I communicate with the universe, and it's called channeling.
But Sarah did nothing wrong, and she was a sweet girl. At the end of this little clip, we have them sharing that Shane finally did go get his cancer screening. Apparently, he had growths on his kidneys. And of course, he had one removed that I believe was cancerous. And now these other growths are the concern. And so that's why he has to keep going back every 6 months to get them checked, to make sure that they're not growing anymore or that they're not becoming cancerous, yada, yada. But I'm guessing from the way they're talking, it seems inevitable that they'll become cancerous, I guess. I don't know. Anything's possible. They could stay benign and just growths. You can also live without a kidney. My brother-in-law was born without a kidney. His whole life, he's only had one kidney. So it's not at the point that it seems like it should be as serious as they're taking it. My goodness, I know people who've lived without 2 kidneys. It's not ideal. You got to go to dialysis every week. But you can live and be alive. You don't have to get another wife for your wife. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so that wraps up the Sherwoods. We'll see what happens in the upcoming episodes. I hope nothing. I hope they're just living happily ever after as a family of 4, not worrying about the other stuff. Oh, where to go next? Might as well jump right in with the Ryans, I guess. Yes, the Ryans are back. So it starts off with Becky in her bedroom. She's in her closet trying to pick out dresses for this dinner she's having to meet Yari tonight, that Justin, Yari, and Becky are all going to go to. Her sister-in-law and her daughter are on the bed helping her out. Now, her sister-in-law and her daughter are only 4 years apart in age. So, I mean, Becky got married when she was 16, and I think she started having kids right away. So it's sort of an interesting dynamic. I don't know how old her youngest are. The sister-in-law shares with her as they're trying to pick things out, like, I'm not really sure what you should choose. I don't really understand how this whole thing is going to work out. She said, I don't understand this relationship, but whatever makes you happy. So I'm very confused. For the longest time, I thought, has this all been a ruse? Everybody's been doing the deep dive digging and finding out that Becky's stepfather was some horrible man in the polygamist faith, having his own kind of evangelical polygamist church that he created, and he had underage brides and bad stuff. So he went to jail. It wasn't her father, but it was her stepfather. So there wasn't a direct correlation by blood or anything like that. And I don't know how long she lived with them. So I just want to throw that out there because I don't like so many people are completely throwing her under the bus and saying, this is horrible, she should have never been on the show and all that. Like, some people don't really have relationships at all with their stepfathers and aren't a part of it. And the fact that they have gone this many years, that they have kids that are in their mid-20s, and they've never been in a polygamous relationship, leads me to believe they didn't really try. Because, I mean, look, Garrick has had two. So I don't think they tried too hard anyway. So it obviously wasn't a principle that they live by and that they had to do. It seems like it's a midlife crisis. That's what's going on with them right now. They're becoming empty nesters. 4 of the 6 kids are out of the house. They feel like they're still young because they started when they were young, and so why not? Part of the people we know are involved in the polygamous lifestyle, so let's give it a shot and see if we like it too. They don't really appear to have any religious convictions behind it at all. They don't seem to have much conviction at all behind it. The whole thing just seems odd with them. Anyway, not defending Becky and certainly not defending her father-in-law. He's in jail where he belongs. I'm just saying, can't put a direct link at least until I get more information. If I find out that her mother separated from her father when she was 2 and Becky was raised her whole life with her stepfather, then I might look at it differently. All right, I say all that to say this. The only reason that came to my mind and I was thinking about it was because on the bed, Carolina, the sister-in-law said, I don't understand this lifestyle, but whatever makes you happy. And I'm thinking, so Justin's siblings have no idea what's going on with this lifestyle. So it doesn't appear that his family was involved in it, even though he technically, I think, was in their church when she got married so young. More questions than answers again. There is the possibility that this could also be Becky's brother's wife. But even, if it's Becky's brother's wife, that would imply that Becky's family didn't have a lot of polygamy going on because she seems kind of confused by all of this. So I feel like it ended with the mom and maybe the dad. I don't know what happened to him, but definitely the mom and the stepdad. Like that was sort of the end of polygamy for everybody. Anyway, that's my brain trying to interpret what the heck is happening with the Ryans. Let me know out there if any of you know more than I do. I'm sure many of you know more than I do because I have not been doing the deep dive. So correct me on any spot that I'm wrong. I welcome it as long as it's kind. Please be kind. All right, so they end up going out to dinner that evening. It's very funny that Justin wants to sit in his car with Becky before going in because they already had egg on their face the last time they got stood up by somebody. So they're like, yeah, we're not going inside and requesting a table for 3 and then having a bunch of cameras follow us and then we leave as just the 2 of us again. Awkward and uncomfortable. Well, she showed up right away and Becky was all bubbly in her usual Becky self and gave her a hug and I'm a hugger. And Yari just seems confused by it all. She apparently has never heard of polygamy. I don't know how you could never hear of polygamy. I guess if you don't read the Bible at all, because the Old Testament had polygamy in it. Back in the times of wars and all that, men would take on the wives that were widowed. It was almost a command for them to do so. Otherwise, they would have just died desolate because women weren't working back then. And so they needed somebody to care and take care of them. Not that I'm condoning it either. I'm just saying that's how it was back in the time. And she's never seen any of these TLC shows. She never heard about the FLDS. How could you not? She never heard of David Koresh. She never heard of Warren Jeffs. He was all over the news there for a while. It's just kind of shocking to me. But then her English as a second language is still pretty rough. So maybe she wasn't even in the country at the time. And so it just wasn't on her radar. That could be. Let me backstep for a second. Right before Yari showed up, they're talking to the camera and doing talking head interviews as well. And we have Becky saying that Yari is his type because she is super pretty, Latina, and a workout girl. Can we find anything else that's superficial? I mean, I would get the Latina thing if he was Latino. Like, okay, I have this connection culturally. No, he just finds Latina women hot. That's all.
You're so beautiful.
Thank you.
She was his type because there's obviously like some sort of Latina in her. She's super pretty, and she's obviously a workout girl. So I was like,
Yeah, Yari's hot.
It's just disgusting to listen to this. Like, it gets worse every episode. Becky and Justin just keep going down, 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 down. And on this episode, Becky is down lower than Justin. Could that be possible? Yes, it was on this episode. So after she says, oh, this is his perfect type, which is very interesting to me because she's not really any of these things. She doesn't look like she works out. She's not Latina. And she's an average-looking woman. And yet Becky is thrilled that somebody has all these qualifications for her husband because that's his type. Gosh, it's just crazy. It makes no sense. So they get together, and this is the meeting to sit down at dinner for Becky and Yari to connect. Well, nobody gave Yari that memo because Becky, as chitter-chattery as she always is, has an impossible situation of trying to continue the conversation with Yari. She asks Yari a question, Yari gives a one-word answer. She asks Yari another question after a bite and a pause of taking a few bites of food. Yari gives another one-word answer. They're basically eating in silence, and Justin is saying nothing. His justification is that this is for the two of them to get to know each other more. But he could still throw a question out to one or the other to get them to just start talking about things and saying, oh, you do the same thing, don't you? Why don't you tell her about this? Like, nothing. But we can tell he's got zero game and zero social skills. But yet, as few social skills as he has, we have Becky one-upping him in the awkward area by trying to break the ice with Yari by saying, so, did you kiss him? And she's like all giddy happy as she's saying it. Yari looked like she wanted to crawl under the table. She's like, oh my gosh, are we talking about this? Yari still doesn't understand the dynamic of all of this. I think she still thought that Becky didn't know about her, that she was just a friend that he brought. She's not wrapping her head around the polygamy thing. It was just awkward. At one point, she asked the question to Yari, so did you guys talk about anything important? And Yari's like, yeah, I don't know. And then she said, like, future plans? Yari's like, future plans? She's like looking up like this the whole time at her. She wouldn't even pick up her head at the meal.
That might have been like a little too early first.
And I'm like, what kind of future plans does she even want her to talk about? She met Justin twice, 2 dates, and she wants to know what her future plans are for the three of them? At least that's the way she said it and the way she implied it and kind of giggled and all that, like future plans. You know, she didn't say like, so where do you see yourself in 5 years? And these would be the kind of appropriate questions one would ask. Just tell me about what kind of education you've had. Tell me a little bit about your job. What do you like to do with your girlfriends? Do you watch any television? What do you like to watch on TV? Have you seen a movie recently? What was the last one you saw in a movie theater? Did you like it? Why? Tell me some more about your family. I'd love to hear about your little boy. Tell me about coming to America. When did you start learning English? How long have you been here? Tell me about the rest of your family. How about traveling? Where are some places you've traveled that you really enjoyed? Where are some places you want to go? Oh my gosh, there's so many questions she could ask. As opposed to, did you kiss him? Did you talk about anything important? What are your plans now? What are your future plans? It's neither one of them. I don't know how Justin and Becky talk to themselves at home because both of them are completely inept in the area of communication. Completely. It's so uncomfortable to watch. Makes me sweat. Even Justin admits in his Talking Head interview that Becky was pushing and it was too early to ask some of these questions. When Justin is critiquing your social skills, well, Houston, we have a problem. So Yari finally asks a good and intelligent question, and that was, why polygamy for you guys? And you want to hear Becky's non-answer to the question? Nothing like we finally get a content question with some meat to it. Does not really answer the question. This is what she said. She said, okay, why you guys want to live polygamy? We just always thought we were open to that lifestyle. What? We just always thought we were open to that life. We think we are. We just always thought, like in the past. I don't understand. What do you mean? How long ago? Whose idea was it? How long have you been talking to each other about it? I mean, I have so many questions. We just always thought we were open to the lifestyle. I think she had one more sentence here. Let me see. Oh, yes. And then she goes on and says, we agreed together we were ready to do that. That does not answer the question. It's like saying, why did you decide to come to the ice cream store today? Oh, we were just, we had always thought we wanted to go to this ice cream store and we just decided to do that. A non-answer. She didn't ask to state the obvious. She asked why. Not what, why.
But why?
Oh my word. The basic WH questions in language. Okay. In the end, Yari says that she just needs time to really think this over because she's not really sure about it. And Becky says, that's okay. We are very patient people. She didn't look so patient on Stephanie's doorstep, let me just say. And the fact he's been on 2 dates with Yari and Becky's posing these questions to her, not so patient. No, I don't think she understands what patient means. This is going too fast. This is going too fast, and it's not going to work out. I'm telling you right now, that's my prediction. We'll see. Let's go to the Salahudins, which we don't have a whole lot to say about this time. So we had the big brouhaha on the last episode between the mother-in-law and Nyla. This episode, they're back at the apartment, same day. So Jahari's with them. I mean, the mother-in-law is not there. But it's Nyla and Naeem. And Yoda Jahari is a joy to listen to. Now, Nyla points out that the turning point of the whole conversation was when the mother-in-law, Jamila, brought up Nyla's daughter into the conversation. And she says that if she, the mother-in-law, really was interested in the welfare of Nyla's daughter, she would have some level of relationship with her and she would reach out to her, which she hasn't done. Can't argue with that. I get it. I get that. Yes, Nyla, you're right. She goes on to say that Jamila cannot even pronounce her daughter's name correctly. Her daughter's name is Heya. Pretty easy. 2 syllables, 4 letters, Heya. Okay, so I get that. I completely understand. But Yoda Jahari, we love when the Yodas appear in these episodes. Yoda Jahari, with her infinite wisdom, says to both of them, really, you know that your mom, your mother-in-law, she's not into this at all. Why do you keep pushing this down her throat? Why are we not just letting it go?
That is why you fail.
Naeem at this point says, yeah, I'm not going to anymore. That's it. I'm done. It's okay. But Jahari goes one better. She points out and talks directly to Nyla and says to Nyla, listen, you disrespected your mother-in-law. That's why it went left. And that disrespect was embarrassing to her. And that's why she reacted the way she did. And that's where Nyla needs to draw it in. No matter what the mother-in-law says about Nyla's daughter, Nyla needs to just keep it buttoned up and be respectful. She wasn't being respectful. I agree with that. Yes, I do. Nyla's just smiling and nodding as Jahari's talking to her. I think like she's smiling through her teeth, thinking, you can leave now. I don't need you to take my mother-in-law's side. Thank you for your advice. Bye-bye. All right. In the talking head interview afterwards, this is what I wrote down that Nyla said. She said, I know Naeem wants a relationship with his mom. Hopefully, she'll still come around and accept our lifestyle. She still doesn't get it. She still doesn't get it. The mother-in-law does not need to accept the lifestyle. She can still have a relationship with her son. Nyla doesn't need to be involved with it. And her daughter doesn't need to be involved with it. The most important thing is that the mother and the son continue to have some sort of relationship. The two of them on their own need to go get lunch somewhere, or he needs to go to his mom's house. That's the way it needs to be. Or Nyla goes along too, but we do not mention polygamy at all, and certainly don't bring the woman around. They have to have respect for the mother-in-law. That's just the way it is. That's the way it is in our culture. Welcome to America. Welcome to many countries. The elders, actually, we probably have the least amount of respect in America compared to other cultures. That was the wrong interpretation. I hope that he can still have a relationship with her and that she accepts our lifestyle. She didn't have to accept the lifestyle for Naeem to have a relationship with his mom. End of story. I mean, according to her, the mother-in-law is not in the daughter's life anyway. So no harm, no foul. We don't have to make her try to be a part of it. For whatever reason, she doesn't want to be a part of it. Okay, leave it as is. But Nyla ended the interview with a comment that I didn't agree with. Well, a second comment I didn't agree with, kind of moving on. She says, I don't know where she heard this. This is not a Yoda comment whatsoever. She says, things that are good for you are not always going to be easy to accomplish. Okay, yeah, but that doesn't apply to your situation, Nyla. You can't make the blatant statement that this is something that is going to be good for you. I mean, I wish I could jump ahead in the future and see how this all pans out and how much she enjoys her husband being with another woman. They are going to keep pushing forward because, according to her, things that are good are not always easy to accomplish. Not good. That statement works for like weight loss or higher education. Those are things that are good for you and not always easy to accomplish. You cannot put those things that are really good for you, higher education, getting healthy, not on the same level as polygamy. No. We're going to move on to our final family, and that is the Davis family. So Nick the Ick. I know we have Garrick who's an Ick, and everyone calls him Ick. But my goodness, Nick is an Ick too. We have two Icks on the show. Ick. Nick the Ick is out on a date with Jasmine. He takes her on a horse and carriage ride through the city. They live close to Denver, so it's probably in Denver, I would think. And that made me just think we have two families near Denver, right? Because the Merrifields live near Denver too, or somewhere in Colorado. They might be closer to Buena Vista. I think they're by Buena Vista. But two families in Colorado. Okay, moving on. He takes her on a horse and carriage ride. He tells her, I want you to know I want access to your mind, but it's not that I'm not interested in your body.
Oh, spare me.
Her response, you won't get access to my body until you get access to my mind. Oh, booyah. Love that response. He comes back with, my sex is a powerful thing. Don't want you to get wrapped up or caught up in it just yet. This man thinks the world of himself. There's nothing creepier than a man who's trying to come on to you, who talks about how great he is in bed. Pass. I think this man could be more shallow than Garrick.
What?
And yet, he thinks he's Einstein. That's the ironic part about it. Oh, he's the worst. These are the lines he's saying to her on their first date when he first meets her. Hasn't even spoken to her on the phone. This is their first get together. These are the lines he's delivering. Ew. But it gets better because they're sitting there chatting away and he says, oh, what do you think about coming over to our house for the weekend and staying with us? He just met her. Why must all these families push so hard to make it happen immediately? They must be so incredibly shallow inside their head that they just don't care about anything but physical attraction. And so they must draw to them other people who are in the same boat. I do like that at one point anyway, Jasmine said, well, I do want to take things a little slowly. And if you take a look at Nick's face as soon as she says that, you can tell that wasn't his intention.
Like to come maybe spend the weekend with us at the house, me and the wives, and just kind of do a little test run or something, see how things are.
I'm gonna be a little honest with you.
Please.
I will want to take things a little slowly.
He says he's okay, but his face says something different. During their whole horse and carriage conversation, she shares with him that her mother was a minister, and she also studied something like, I don't know, many religions. 8 different religions. And so while she was studying these, she was picking up on them as well. Nick didn't seem very comfortable with this. He shared that they're not really a religious family, but they're spiritual, of course. Buzzwords today. But what's better than that is he says their spirituality is based in science and mathematics. Spirituality, 180 degrees. Science and mathematics could not be further apart. That made no sense. It's not. If it's based in science and mathematics, it's not spiritual, in my opinion. Okay, go ahead. Throw it all down below. Tell me what an idiot I am. Faith is part of spirituality. Faith is the opposite of science. It's not rooted in science. That's what faith is, believing in something that can't be proven. But you believe in it because of your faith. Oh, that's what makes you a spiritual person. Okay, I don't know. Moving on. I really don't want to talk about this that long. She's quite quirky. Her religion that she identifies with is paganism. Paganism is basically believing that we're all just sensual beings and you like sensual stuff and materialistic stuff. Like it's your core animalistic desires is what paganism is. It's kind of branched off, in a modern form of paganism is like the Wicca, which is more witchy kind of stuff, but based in its overall roots, paganism has pretty traditionally been sort of almost like a non-religion, follow your human instincts. She goes on to say all those kind of quirky sentences that make not a lot of sense, like, I'm not quite completely here. No, you are. You're here. What do you mean? She said that she has 2 goddesses from 2 different pantheons that watch over her.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I feel like these goddesses are not doing a great job of guiding her. She may want to ditch them for some other goddesses. I don't know. It's just my suggestion. My 2 cents. He goes on to say, I wish my wives would have prepared me about this pagan thing. Why? It is not contradictory really to what you're doing, living out your animalistic fantasies. Just because you also like science and mathematics. I don't know. He's so confusing. It makes my head hurt. I don't think he knows what he is or what he believes. Have you noticed that, I might put a clip in here if I can. Have you noticed when Nick does his interview that he often goes like this? And then he just starts talking to the camera like this with his head up. It like struck me this time is like, why does he keep doing that? Like, I've seen it in the past, but I didn't think anything of it. I just thought he was sort of sitting funny. But I'm like, again, we're talking like this. I'll see if I can find a clip and insert it. But I'm really curious why he does that. What's he doing? Is he scooting down and trying to look up at the camera? Is he like leaning? I don't know. I don't know. Anyway.
I would hate to do anything to make Danielle uncomfortable and potentially leave our family.
It struck me so much that I put a note in my notes about it, so I thought I'd mention it. Maybe you've noticed it too. Well, at the end of their date, Nick goes home and Danielle has stayed up late. It's very clear Danielle is not comfortable with him going on this date. It's very clear she doesn't want him dating, but she won't say it.
To say 100% that like my past issues with insecurity and jealousy are 100% past me, but they're not.
She asks him when he got back, did you kiss her? And he admits that he did. And then she's like, okay. The whole time she had this overly affected face with, it's great. Yeah. Okay. You had a good date? Yeah. Oh, it was so uncomfortable.
How did it go?
It's a fun time. It was a nice date. Yeah. Never dull. She
keeps it fresh.
She keeps it fresh for sure. She's got a knack for throwing some off-the-wall comments in to keep things spiced up.
So, did you guys kiss?
I was wondering how you all might feel about her coming over to stay the night.
So, a sleepover.
Yeah, maybe something like that. Just
Anyone can see it. How Nick is not like, whoa, all right, let's take a beat. Talk to me about what you're thinking. You clearly are thinking something different than what's coming out of your mouth. Share with me your feelings. No, none of that. I don't think he cares or is interested in her feelings because he's getting what he wants. So in this time, as she's starting to talk more, she basically shares with him, she understands that this is happening with Jasmine. She likes Jasmine enough too, but she just really hopes that this would go slow. This is in response to Nick saying, what do you think, Danielle, about her maybe coming and spending the weekend with us? She's like, what? Spend the night here? What are you talking about? So she's like, well, I really like her and all that. I just think it's really important that we take this slow. What did Nick hear her say? Sure. Yeah. I think that's great. Have her come for the weekend. Or, if he didn't hear that, Nick heard, we need to take it slow. She shouldn't come this weekend. He completely ignored it and then twisted it and said, so you're ready, right? The worst. This right here is a masterclass in manipulation.
I think the best thing we can do is let's just take things slow. Let's just really get to know each other and enjoy that and see if there's any future steps. And there may not be, but I want to see where things go.
Are you sure you're feeling okay with her coming over to stay the night?
I think that's okay. Sometimes I find myself saying what people want to hear, and it's not always 100% how I truly feel.
Danielle is clearly emotionally scarred from her past. She can't speak up for herself. She is the perfect target for somebody like Nick. I just want to rescue her. And then Nick says, after he gets her to agree that, oh yeah, it's fine, she can come this weekend. He goes, you're okay, right? You sure? You're okay? Sure, right? I'm disgusted by his tactics. Really disgusted. Very Garrick-like, but worse. He trumps him. That's so sad to say. Didn't think it was possible. It bothers me so much because with Garrick, I never took Natalia and Roberta as being girls that were really naive. Girls you could easily manipulate. Or girls you could even really groom. I felt like they knew what they were getting into. And they didn't really understand how gross and creepy Garrick was, I think, because of the language barrier. But I think they really understood that this is something that they're choosing to do. They both had families. They both had loving moms. Natalia also has a dad, whereas it seems like Danielle here with Nick has nobody. She has nobody. That's why when she left and got her own apartment, she came back a few days later. She was just lonely there. She had nobody to call. When it came to the wedding, she had some friend show up. Probably a friend from work who she just met. Like, they didn't even seem that close. And that's what breaks my heart about Danielle. I feel like she's a lost puppy. She's a lost soul. She's starving for love and attention. And she stumbled upon this situation, which is just the worst possible situation for her. I don't see her ever being able to get out. I don't know if she has the strength to do it. And a big part of that is because if she goes somewhere else, she loses everybody who's ever, quote unquote, loved her or acted like they loved her in her life. That's what it appears like to me. Without having her backstory and she came out and said, I've never felt this much love in my life from Sister Wives and Nick. It's sad. Goodness, this show sometimes is really entertaining and then sometimes it's a real downer. That was a downer part. It ends with Nick telling her that since she's awake, he's going to take her up to the boom boom room and help her fall asleep. Basically, she gets a reward for agreeing to have Jasmine come stay for the weekend. It's all disgusting. All right, that's all we have. That was the episode. I'll catch you next week and see what happens. Craziness. What did you think of it all? Let me know down below. Bye-bye.